What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to jump back on my 02 Grand Marquis. In previous videos you saw me lift it, do some off-road stuff like that. Now it's running great. The only problem that I'm noticing, and it's kind of an embarrassing problem honestly, is that when I sit and idle for a given amount of time, I notice a big poof of smoke come out the back. It doesn't do it on startup, it doesn't do it any other time. It's really when it just sits and idles for a while. And then as soon as I take off, I give it some throttle, poof, big poof of smoke comes out the back. Now I got a couple things here that'll hopefully help with this. I'm going to do some kind of before and after testing. So if that's something you're interested in, stick around till the end and we'll see some of these results. Being that I'm a mechanic, I'm not typically one for the snake oils or any of those miracle cure type of additives. But after watching a bunch of videos and using the product myself, I can say that I have pretty good faith in this product. One of those things in particular is the engine restore product. Now I've seen this, like I said, I've seen this used for a long time. I have used this myself and I've noticed results. Now the only problem is are they just the old butt dyno, kind of stuff like that? I don't know, because I've never done any before and after testing. The other thing that I went ahead and got was a catch can. I'm curious if I'm having some blow-by issues and the oil is getting sucked through the PCV system. Now the thing to keep in mind here is this car is typically my daily driver. So I did the right thing and just guessed on everything. Kind of two common culprits for the smoking issue. So we're going to get an oil catch can installed in line here. We're going to put some engine restore in. But before we do any of that, I want to pull some plugs out here and get a baseline on my compression on this engine. If I'm suffering from a ring sealing issue or some low compression, I kind of want to get an idea of what we're up against, and then I'll come back to it and check it later and see if this engine restore has helped me at all. So let's jump out to the car, we'll get the plugs and coils pulled out of this thing and get the compression testing done. Well guys, something to keep in mind here. Grab the old compression tester out, and if your Crown Vic or Grand Marquis anything like mine, this guy doesn't work. My old kit here doesn't have an adapter that fits it, so unfortunately, today got a little more expensive. I ended up having to run to the parts store. I just went ahead and picked up a new compression tester kit, but what I need right here is this guy. It's a 14mm extended reach, because my heads are the style that are the half threads, unfortunately. This guy will thread the rest of the way down in there. So I ended up picking this guy up. I went ahead, picked up, So I went ahead and picked up a new set of spark plugs for it. As long as I was there, I figured I'm gonna have them out and be doing the testing. So why not? That way when I pull them back out next week, I can get a good read on them and see what they're doing. Make sure they're not burning any oil or doing anything crazy. So I'll throw this thing back in the box and we'll go out there and get this new one hooked up. All right, I got all the spark plugs pulled out. Important side note, if you are doing this, you want to make sure you block your throttle open. I just took and opened it up, wedged a screwdriver in there, good to go. I got my compression gauge here, right there. I got it on number 5 just because this is the side I finished pulling plugs on. And yeah, in no particular order, we'll go around here and get all the compressions on it. And then I'm going to keep all the numbers on my chalkboard in there, so when I come back to it, I'll have easy reference of it. And as we go here, I'll just write them all down. So let's get started. Alright, well, we got them all done. As you can see, not ideal. Oh, and I forgot to write one down. Anyway, As you can see, not ideal, but not terrible. Looks like the highest I got was 205. The lowest I got was definitely cylinder 3 over here at 174. So for sure something to keep an eye on and see if we can at least even those all up a little bit more. If I could get up around the 200 range on all of them, I'd consider that a success. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put the thing back together. I'm going to throw those new spark plugs in while I'm at it, and then we can move on to that oil catch can. Alright, plugs are back in, everything's put back together. I'm going to go ahead and make sure it'll still start, just because, you know, I messed with it. So, we'll fire it up for a sec. Cool. I think I don't know if it was just burning off a little bit of whatever crap fell in the cylinders when I took those out, but yeah, cleaned up and started running smooth again. It may also have been because, you know, the injectors were still hooked up, everything like that, so it may have sprayed a little excess fuel in the cylinders. But, you know, hey, whatever. Let's move on to this oil catch can. Alright, well, first things first, I gotta mount this bracket for it. I do also want to keep it somewhere where I can access the drain plug on it. So I think I'm just gonna go right here on the inner fender. That gives me easy access to my PCV, which is right here. Easy run right back to the throttle body. And yeah, I can drain it and all that. It's out of the way. Of course, with the lift kit on here, my suspension is quite a bit further. I should never travel up this high. And you know, if you're putting this on a stock vehicle, you may want to try and figure out something else. Unfortunately, with the Crown Vics Grand Marquis, there's not a lot of room to put these things. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go right here to the plastic. Oh, I'm sweating. It's hot out today. If you watch the video where I did the lighting and stuff like that, you'll recognize all my relays and everything here. That's been a pretty good solid spot. I am, for the time being, gonna just mount it with these self-tappers. I may go back later, depending on how that looks, how it feels, and just end up nut and bolting this thing. I don't know if I trust that much weight hanging on these. We're just gonna kind of eyeball these in and go with that. Yeah, I can already tell I'm not going to like this, so I'll probably go through and just go get some little machine screws. Yeah. I'll go back later and get some little machine screws and nuts and fasten that a little bit better. Those things, of course, going into plastic, it's, you know, I can't expect a whole lot, but for the time being, that's pretty good. So, gives me a nice spot there. It's vertical. I can access it. Easy access to both my hoses. I do have a little bit of wiring. Yep, there we go. Just move it out of the way. And the nice part on this mount is I can rotate it and kind of mount it however I need to mount it. So I'll get this couple mounting screws put in here and we'll start routing some hose for it. That'll work just fine. Alright, not bad. We'll go get some hose for this thing and yeah, get it hooked up. Yeah, it's just a matter of sliding these things on. Pretty much everything has a barbed hose end, so I'm not really worried about clamps Plus it's pretty much all under vacuum, so if it does leak, you know, kind of is what it is. Everything's a nice tight fit. And we'll get that one up there. I may have made that one a hair short, but it'll still work. It's not going to go anywhere. There we go, and that's it. That's the whole thing installed. And yeah, I guess we fire it back up and make sure nothing's leaking or doing anything it shouldn't, and we'll see how this goes. Last piece of the puzzle, probably the hardest job of all, is to just, you know, pour this stuff in. Now you want to check your oil level before you do so. Make sure it's either low, like it is in my case, because it's burning some of it, or, you know, if not, if it is full, you're going to want to drain some out. Probably the easiest way would be take the oil filter off, dump what's in it out, put it back on. Otherwise, if you're due for an oil change, that's the best time to add it. But you definitely don't want to overfill your engine. That's probably worst case scenario. I'm sure if you read the instructions, you know, it'll say something along those lines. In all capital letters, shake well before using. They're definitely yelling at you there. So we're going to go ahead and shake this stuff up and check the oil level, double check, make sure. I know I'm about a quart low, but I'll double check it again anyway. And then we'll get this stuff poured in. Oh no, that didn't work. Yes. Am I leaking? Nope. Is that good enough? Alright, I think that's good enough. Squeeze it, squeeze it. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's got one of them stupid little tops on it, like the Seafoam and Berryman's do. Hey, I got that one. Alright. And then, you know, hard work here. Go ahead and pour her all in. Drink up, little buddy. Well, I'm going to fire this thing up and let it idle for a while. See if, even though I've already put the restore in, see if I can give you guys a shot of kind of before what it's doing, where it just smokes a lot. Anyway, let's fire it up, let it sit here and idle. I'll probably go hang out in the old air conditioning for a while and cool off. Maybe have me a cold beverage. Anyway, let's get to it. Oh. Cheers. Ah, so good. All right. You know, as I sit here having my drink, cooling off a little bit, letting that car run, I'm thinking about it, and I should have let it run before if I'm trying to get it to smoke. Because if the oil catch can works, and that fixes it, I'm not going to get you a good example. If, you know, that engine restore kicks in, I doubt it will, in the next, you know, half an hour-ish. Boy, this lighting is crap. That's a little bit better. Anyway, if that engine restore kicks in and does its thing, it may not smoke. Anyway, yeah, just thoughts I'm having while I'm sitting here cooling off a little bit. But we'll still see. It's out there running, and maybe. So we got about everything we're going to get done today done, and you know, not bad. Got the plugs changed out, got the oil catch can installed, got the engine restore put in it, and did a full compression check on it. Now I'm going to drive this thing, you know, all week back and forth to work, in the store, and you know, all my kind of daily driving stuff. And we'll come back to this next weekend and finish out by doing another compression check on it, and just overall seeing if there's anything in the catch can and stuff like that, and seeing if it's helped my smoking issue at all. So for me, it's going to be about another week of time. For you, it'll be right now. Well, we finally made it to the weekend. Finally. Anyway, couple nice things happened through the week. Yes, I drove the car a ton, but it also, if you saw those earlier scenes, was just miserably hot. We were in, I would consider, a drought, and it hadn't rained forever, and it was just miserable. It's rained quite a bit, and it's also cooled off quite a bit, which is great. But anyway, super nice outside. I'm trying to maybe beat the rain a little bit. I haven't looked at the forecast, but it sure feels like it's going to rain. So we'll jump back out here. I want to get that compression test done, see where we stand on that, and then let the thing sit and idle for a while and see if we fixed any of this smoking. But I will say that the car overall feels like it runs better. Maybe a little more power, you know, stuff like that. It just seems to run smoother. So I'm really optimistic on the compression numbers, a little more doubtful on the smoking concern. So we'll jump out here and get to turning some wrenches, and I'll bring you along for that. Holy crap, guys. That's the cylinder that was way down last time. It's sitting 196, 197 we'll call it maybe. It's hard to read. This gauge isn't super accurate, but it's a shade past 195, so that's awesome. Well, guys, overall, I mean, that's kind of a holy crap moment. Holy crap. For the most part, it seemed like kind of that, you know, 190 to 200 range is going to be pretty average for my engine. I still have, you know, the highest one stayed the same. It was 205, 205. The one that really surprised me was number 3 over here. And that one I jumped from 174 to 197. Yeah. Otherwise, pretty much everything came up into the 190s. The other kind of lower ones were some down like 185, and that one jumped to 195. But for the most part, it was pretty typical to see, you know, a couple point increase in the pressure. Overall, I'm really impressed. That's kind of, you know, the no BS approach to it. You can't really argue with, you know, just a simple pressure gauge. It's hard to argue with that before and after. And like I said, just driving it throughout the week from last weekend when I put the restore in until now, it seems to run smoother. It seems to have more power. When it is under power, some of you guys can relate to this. Maybe it feels like it should have more, like maybe it's not that linear power gain, that it's kind of to get there. And it doesn't feel like it's doing that. Overall, I gotta say, I'm super impressed with those numbers and just what the old butt dyno here tells me. I think that was a huge improvement. So I'll get that thing put back together, and I won't bore you with that, but we can dive into this catch can and see if that thing collected anything throughout the week. And then finally, I'll let it sit here and idle for a while and see what we get as far as smoke, if that cleared up at all, or if that's about the same. All right, now, I know there's a drain plug on this thing, but, oh, maybe it is working. I should have checked the drain plug. There's a bunch of oil all down the side here. Oh, Moses. Okay. Maybe this thing's doing more than I thought, and it's just filling up way too fast. Guess we'll find out here in a second. Never-ending threads on this thing, huh? Oh, there we go. Well, not that much, but who knows how much drained out. My whole frame rail's wet, the whole side of the inner fender's wet. Now my hands are all wet. I may have to throw some Teflon tape or something at this drain plug. Maybe check it again, give it a better reading down the road, but see if you guys can see this. I don't know if it'll focus in there. Yeah, there we go. Kind of. A little bit of oil in there, but has this little guy here. You can see it's damp right around there. I'll bring you in and show you the damage down here. You can see it's all wet down in here and also down in the frame rail. Let's take a look down inside the wheel well, see what that looks like. Yeah, that's all wet, and that's kind of hard to tell, but that's all wet. So that thing's been leaking. Cool. Well, at least I know that thing's actually doing something. It wasn't a complete waste of money. Whether it's going to stop my smoking or any of that is to be determined, but I'll clean this out, put it back together so I get a good accurate reading on it next time. And yeah, we'll just let this thing idle for a while, see what the smoking's looking like. I get to clean up the inner fender and frame rail and all that too. Yippee! Hey. Huh? What are you doing? Oh, let's go try and seal that up, I guess. Well, I suppose it's a good thing I never really intended on using the actual drain plug. I guess it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's an NPT plug, but it basically just threads all the way straight through this thing, and I can just take it out by hand. So we'll throw a little Teflon tape around it, and yeah, I guess see if it'll seal up. Hopefully it does, but worst case, I may put a little schmutz in there. Let's see, where's my tape? Alright, well, surprise, surprise, I'm out of Teflon tape. I'm not going to the store to buy some more, and I didn't intend on using this anyway. So we're going to use a little gasket maker. A little excess in there, that's perfect. And a little excess on the outside. I'll let that actually sit and harden up. Hopefully that all seals and I don't have to deal with the leak anymore. Alright, everything's cleaned up. Got this hopefully sealed. And yeah, I'll get it thrown back on the car. We'll let this thing sit and idle for a while. Yeah. Good enough. Alright, cool. That's it. Well, let's fire it up, see what she does. You guys tell me. Is that thing smoking at all? I didn't see anything. That was a crap load of condensation that came out of that thing. But overall, that was a heck of a lot less smoke. I'm okay with that. I know, like I said, throughout the week I'd been letting it sit and idle, like over lunch and stuff like that. And, you know, I guess it was still smoking some, but heck, that was way less. Heck, overall, guys, I think I'm going to call that a win. Like I said, I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of the smoking issue. It's definitely less. If you go back and watch the first clip versus that clip, maybe I'll try and throw a before and after in there. That's way less smoke, and I let it sit and run about the same amount of time. I might have actually goofed around and let it run a little longer today. I am noticing a ton of condensation, which that thing's kind of always made. Anyway, I'm going to call that one a win. So put that together with the compression testing, the engine restore. That was definitely a win. Well worth the money in my opinion. And, you know, I'd be really curious to take something that has bad compression and throw it in there. It's got me thinking now. So anyway, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I hope you learned something. Maybe you can put some of this to use on your own vehicle. Doesn't have to be a Crown Vic or a Grand Marquis. It can really be applied to about anything. And I'd love to know your results. If you do try this out for yourself, let me know. Or if you've used it in the past, let me know. Like I said, I'd always kind of used it and never really tested it to see if it was working. That engine restore, definitely working. I'm going to continue using that. Maybe if you guys are interested, I'll come back in a month or something like that and see the long-term results of it. If it gets even better yet, or if it stays about the same, that's up to you guys if it's something you're interested in. The catch can, it's definitely catching oil. May not be holding it, but it's catching it. So I'd like to think that that thing's doing its job. The engine restore is definitely doing its job. If you guys have any other ideas to maybe, you know, get rid of some of this smoking, or maybe some other products to try, or you know, add-ons or something like that, kind of like the catch can, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, that'll pretty much wrap it up for this one. I know a little bit longer of a video, maybe not longer than they usually are, but for me it was longer. Well, maybe not compared to the motorcycle one. I guess it doesn't matter. It'll edit out to be whatever it is. So anyway, that'll wrap it up for this one. I appreciate you guys hanging out, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.